Hello and welcome back to the Shipyard channel. Last time we shared with you the drop of the rudder and reinforcement of our rudder post. Today we're going to focus on steering, the quadrant underneath the cockpit floor, and our shifter and throttle cables. We'll also take a look at that keel job we did back in 2016. And we always enjoy working alongside the guys at Perdido Sailor. We learned a ton from them this summer. Namely, at the top of that list is how to properly pick on one another.
Did you bring Jimmy John's too?
I'm on a diet.
These boys are...
you got an answer for everything.
You brought it for yourself. I don't care about it, you might. Y'all kind of look like y'all need to be on a diet too. So.
That's Mike. Many of you might remember him from 2016 when we had our mast down for the re-rig, and he gave us a heck of a hard time. Don't worry, we'll roll that fun footage later.
I don't know, he fit in that hole pretty well. Shane got all the way down in there.
260 pounds, I jumped right down the hole, so I don't want to hear anything about my weight.
And by the hole, they mean down here in the port and starboard lazarettes that allow access to our rudder posts and the steering quadrant. I saved you last time from all of the work it took to get our quadrant off. But today we're going to work on that and show you what your boat looks like at the shipyard. Come on, it'll be fun. So this is our quadrant. We're about to spend a lot of time with this guy. You can see he's affixed to our rudder post with 4 crossways bolts. And Philip and I knew in the weeks before we hauled out we would probably have trouble getting him off. So we sprayed PB Blaster occasionally on those 4 bolts to try to break them free. And at first tried just manually to remove them.
I got to get the impact bit on it.
When Philip and I couldn't get it ourselves, we had to bring Brandon and Shane back aboard, and they both worked on each side the port and starboard lazarettes, trying to free the bolts on the quadrant.
These are not very clean on the average boat, I wouldn't say.
Was that our first bolt that just came out? This is exciting.
Yes, we were excited about every single bolt. This was such a laborious project. Next, they went with the impact driver, then heat, then more impact, and Shane finally said, forget it, and cut the head off the last curmudgeon bolt that was holding us up. It's actually a pretty smart move. His plan was to shave the bolt head off so at least the shaft would come out, allowing the 2 pieces of the quadrant to come apart, and his plan was later to drill into it and make the holes a little bit wider with bigger bolts going forward. It's smart workarounds like this that keep us coming back to Brandon at Perdido Sailor for our boat maintenance and repair work. Listen here as he teaches Philip 2 things we didn't know going on with the rudder post and steering system.
It's a little thing where you put grease in the cap.
Yeah, I think that's
and then
what it's
every
supposed
once
to
in a
have.
while you tighten the cap up and it pushes grease in it.
Yeah, that's what we need to put in there. Yeah, because we're just getting squirts of water in there. Coming out.
He's talking about our missing grease nipple that we didn't even know was missing.
Need to check the autopilot ram too.
What do you mean?
I think it's leaking.
Leaking hydraulic?
You got oil here and
Yeah, kind of. When we heel, sometimes that some of that hydraulic may have been from there, but you think maybe it's a bad seal on the. It's a mess under there, I can tell you already.
Yeah, let's take the cover off.
Okay.
Got a screwdriver?
Yeah, you got oil on one of the screws here.
Brandon always has his eye out for anything else that can be done or fixed while we're at the yard, because that's where we want to do it, where all the tools are available. Like in 2016 when he noted, in other news, your keel's falling off. Do you remember this? We came to the boat the weekend after we finished the stringer repair with Russ, hoping to just clean her up and paint the bilge and everything would be copacetic. Until we saw this along the keel. Brandon explained it was a weeping keel.
It's pretty common on a bolted keel. The only luck you got is come in and route it out, and you can either fill it with like 5200,
Right.
or G-Flex is doing pretty good without, having enough flex to not crack.
Yeah. Brandon taught me how to route out the seam to get the fairing compound out so we could refloat it, and we went with G-Flex, and he thought it'd be a fun idea to do an update video now 2 years later to see how that fix was holding. Hello, hope you can see me. I'm sure you're like, man, she's dirty. Brandon had a good idea for us to do a little update on our keel repair. So in 2016, when we hauled the boat out, we saw like this line right where the keel seam is, and it was like weeping. They call it weeping. Crying, kind of little driplets of water, which means water's getting in that seal. And Brandon was like, well, your keel's falling off. Always fun. So I had to route out the whole thing all the way around, and then we filled it with G-Flex and smoothed it out and feathered it in and repainted over, and you can see now, not a single drop. You can barely even see the seam. So turned out pretty good. Update. It's all right there. I can tell I had a ton of work to do back here. There's a lot of work back here. It was like cracked out entirely. So take that, YouTubers. Once said we couldn't use G-Flex to do that. Yeah, we can, and we did. Video Annie. She still cracks me up. The next thing the guys noticed with the steering system was our shifter cables giving this grinding ka-chunk when we went into forward or reverse. Here's a video you can listen and hear the sound when I shift from neutral to reverse. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, reverse. Yeah, shouldn't sound like that, right? That's what the guys noticed too. I actually think Video Annie had a different name for it. Oh, Annie's coming off.
What does that mean?
You like that?
What
I
does that
cracked her
mean?
up.
Does that
It
mean
didn't
your
feel like
grandma's
my
got her pants are full of gravel or something?
Yeah, like cobwebs and dust up there.
Oh my god.
Now it's like a 2-cent hooker. Slides right on.
Oh, here, Mom.
The boys at the yard love me.
I'm gonna have to turn that into HR.
Turn it into HR. You got an offense complaint.
Granny's change.
Fanny's fanny.
All right, Shane, keep her coming nice and steady. All right, Annie.
Hey, go through the gears real quick so I can see them down here.
All right, that's neutral.
Uh-huh.
Let me know when you're ready for a forward or reverse.
Ready?
Reverse.
Yeah?
All right, go forward.
Okay. I hear it shifting.
Huh?
I hear it shifting.
Yeah, it's shifting nice and smooth.
Now, when we were getting the quadrant back on, we had another issue we wanted to address. Some of you may recall from our Bahamas videos where our quadrant actually started to drop down the rudder post and make contact with the fiberglass strut you see there. It's quite noisy and quite a mystery for us for a while. Here, I'll show you.
Just turn auto off. Okay. A little resistance, but maybe it's not too bad. Maybe. I mean, it's got an itch, so it just sounds so bad, you know? I don't want it working too hard. I mean, it's got a little notch, so maybe it'll be fine. I don't know.
Is that? You can't hear it?
Back. Yeah, baby. I think we're good. Lord have mercy. That's comfortable.
Now, Lynn.
Yeah.
And just over time, you know, this is just something, you know, we need to remember to check. This should lock it down. You can kind of see how much
it
came up. Yeah.
Wow, honey buns.
Yeah.
You did so good, Pitbull. You be doing right. Oh my God. It's not touching. I know it's not.
There you go. Problem solved.
Woohoo!
32 knots.
Best problem is easy. 32. Is that what you're getting? Good God, it's breaking down. Just another 12 hours of this.
While thankfully raising the quadrant that time required just a simple tightening of the nut on the cockpit floor, when the boys were working with the quadrant, they noticed it didn't line up perfectly with the steering cable pulleys, and they wanted a direct, clean feed there. So they wanted to lower the quadrant, but with not much room back there, they had to come up with a fix.
Are you talking about the back clearance or up and down?
No, the back, just the back edge. I think the up and down's fine.
The boys decided to cut a notch out for it, which worked out beautifully.
What has it got? I can't. How
It
much?
looks like a half inch.
About a half inch. I can barely get my finger in between it.
Where it
That's where
where
it
the
used
bottom
to
of it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would just level it down a little bit.
Man, we did some really cool stuff at the yard this past summer. We really made a lot of progress and have so many fun projects to share. Next up, we will engineer a new coupler for the prop shaft, deal with some issues we've been handling there with alignment, and some rotten wood in the engine room. Always fun. But first, I promised you some good times at the yard, a lot of poking fun at each other, and nobody is better at that than Mike. So I'll just let him wrap this one up for you. Hope you're enjoying the Shipyard videos.
Hey Philip and Annie, Russ asked me to maybe take a look over your mast here since you're fixing to start your project, and I just finished a project on a mast. So, you know, I was kind of looking over it, and I found this this hole here. If you'll take a shot of this, Russ, this hole, and this could be a problem. Have you ever thought bees got in there and built a hive, you know? While you're out sailing, you've got all these bees in your mast, and you can't get rid of them because they're a protected species. So, you know, the only way to get them out would be to cut your mast in half and pull the out. If not, you're going to have all this honey and crap dripping all down in your mast and everything. And another thing, if you want to cruise to Cuba, you go to Cuba and, you know, you pull in and they inspect your boat, and they find honey in your mast. Well, you're importing honey and bees into their country, and you could end up in jail, you know. And 2 American lawyers in a Cuban jail, I just don't think that would turn out very well. So I think I would really pay attention to this hole and get it fixed.
2 American lawyers in a Cuban jail. Yeah, I don't think that'd turn out real well either.
Poor guy. He loves us. He loves working on our boat. Are you stunned?
You're videotaping it.
I am. This is the birth of Shane.
I gotta try and look sexy at the same time.
Okay. Good luck. Where's that smoldering, sexy look?
Who says that a 260-pound man can't fit in a very small hole?
I mean, look at him. He went in there, people. That's impressive. Right there. Tiny little spot. Hot, dude.
High five on that one.